It's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start with celebrities saying stupid things. It's an epidemic. Here is songstress Shakira. You remember her, the hips don't lie jail dodger who was expected to be imprisoned for massive tax fraud. Well, she's put that behind her to lecture us about immigration. She seems to think immigrants in America are living in perpetual fear.
For an immigrant in the US, it means living in constant fear, and it's painful to see. I just hope that they can be treated and that we all can be treated under principles of equity.
Yes, our favourite commie word, equity. No, Shakira, America is about equality, not equity, freedom and the rule of law. And how insulting for this tax dodger to conflate legal immigrants with illegal immigrants. And Shakira, the polls are clear. The majority of legal migrants support Donald Trump's immigration policies. Now to another dim-witted celebrity, another singer here, and she's singing about how many abortions she's had. If only she could remember how many. Here is the pathologically awful Lily Allen.
Abortions, I've had a few, right. But then again, I can't remember exactly how many.
What, really?
Yeah.
Why didn't this come up in last week's episode where we were just talking about abortions?
Because I was just letting you run with it.
Reveal everything.
I can't remember, yeah. I think maybe like, I want to say 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've had about 5 too.
That's a BBC podcast. The British taxpayers are funding that diabolical trash. Now let's stay in the UK, and the Kingdom is in a fair bit of trouble after years of Tyno rule. That's Tories in name only. They now have a hard left Labor government, and like much of the West, the young folk have been brainwashed by leftist ideology. They've been brainwashed to hate their own country. A poll earlier this year showed that half of Gen Zs in Britain, that's 18 to 27-year-olds, believe their country is racist, and just 11%, just 1 in 10, said they would be willing to fight for Britain in a war. So let's hear from some of these young Brits.
Do you fight in the army? Let me tell you this, I would fight against the UK.
I would probably say no.
I don't think I would.
Why would you fight against the UK? Because I would like the world to be liberated from Western imperialism. I would fight against this country in a war.
Sounds a bit bad, but I think I'm not necessarily a massive patriot.
The way the country is at the moment, it's not entirely worth fighting for to some extent.
I like socialism, I like freedom for people around the world, and I think that what you have right now is an American empire which is built upon robbery and theft and murder, and it is an insult to human dignity.
Can you believe that? He loves socialism and freedom. That's like saying, I love drowning and breathing, or I love food and starving to death. You want to talk about a masculinity crisis among young men? Well, that's it right there. That's real toxic masculinity when they don't appear to have any at all. Now, this next clip triggered a lot of lefties, but then again, what doesn't trigger them these days? Here is Donald Trump proving yet again he is the funniest president we've ever had. Here he gives some words of advice to any criminals looking to escape alligator Alcatraz. He's giving them advice so they don't get eaten by the alligators.
Snakes are fast, but alligators are big. We're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%.
As Gret Gutfeld says, we don't deserve him. And here is a lefty woman losing it. She thinks alligator Alcatraz is a concentration camp. I've got to say, these people, this woman, you can't help them. They're beyond help. All you can do is mock them mercilessly.
I will be in jail if I see somebody wearing an alligator Alcatraz shirt or any type of merch. It is a concentration camp. And using that language matters. It is a concentration camp, and we're acting like it's an amusement park. It's disgusting.
Now to a TDS sufferer who may be in remission. The jury's still out on that, but here is Bill Maher pointing out to his lefty audience that when it comes to crazy conspiracy theories, well, the left are repeat offenders.
If you think there's only conspiracy theorists on the right, I can't tell you how many people came up to me around that time. Bill, don't you think that assassination attempt was staged? Staged. You know, walk me through how you could stage a bullet hitting just the tip of your ear from 500 feet away. Yeah, shoot it in my head. I trust you. But just graze me. It's a new shirt. I don't want to get a lot, you know.
Now, let's look at just how far left the Democrats have become across so many issues. And they've also become strongly anti-Israel. Zoran Mamdani isn't an aberration. He is the Democrats' future.
The politics have changed around this issue among Democrats. What are we talking about here? All right, who Democrats sympathize more with, Israelis or Palestinians? In 2017, the Democratic Party was a pro-Israeli party. Look at this. They sympathized with the Israelis by 13 points, more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. But look at this sea change. Now Democrats sympathize more with the Palestinians by 43 points. Oh, my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years. So all of a sudden, it's the pro-Palestinian position that actually reigns supreme in Democratic politics, not the Israeli position. And that is part of the reason why Mamdani was able to do so well in this primary, because those attacks over Israel, simply put, did not ring true for Democrats. They're now on the side of the Palestinians, not the Israelis.
Joining me now is documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, a 56% swing in just 8 years, and that swing is even stronger when you look at Democrats who are under 50. Let's have a look at that data.
Who age 18 to 49 Democrats sympathize more with, the Israelis or the Palestinians? Again, in 2017, younger Democrats sympathize more with the Israelis by 14 points. Look at this shift now. Palestinians, they sympathize more with the Palestinians by 57 points. That is an over 70-point shift in the margin in just a matter of 8 years.
Ami, the data there is astonishing. What are the reasons behind this phenomenon?
Yeah, look, Rita, you said this may be the Democrats' future. Frankly, I think it might be their present, unfortunately. The left in general are at war with success, okay? That's what defines the left these days. And they look, if you pull out from Israel and you look at the way they feel about America and even greater Western civilization, they have almost the same amount of vitriol and hatred, because those are the most successful groups in the world, right? And Israel is a distillation of that hatred. Israel and, frankly, anti-Semitism, the two are two sides of the same coin, because Israel is excellence in a sea of mediocrity, right? It's that yin and yang, that balance between success and mid. You look at Israel, it has 7 times the GDP per capita of the Arab world. And the Arab world, by the way, includes the oil-rich countries of Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE, right? Even with that, they have 7 times their GDP. And they're not just putting a straw on the ground and sucking out oil and selling it. They have created that GDP success because they have, as the Israelis said, sechel, they have brains, right? They are creating, they have a technology wonderland where they're able to create just through their mind an export of technology and excellence. And the left hates that, right? Everything is looked through the oppressor-oppressed pyramid. And through the intersectional pyramid, right? Again, everything is looked through that prism. They see that whoever's the tippy top of that pyramid of success, you are the most oppressive, right? Because you can only have gotten to the top of that pyramid by stepping on the necks of people below you. And they look at the Jews and Israel, rightly or wrongly, at the top of the economic pyramid. And that's why they have so much hatred for the state of Israel. And that's really the future of you said the future Democratic Party? Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's currently what we're seeing today.
Now, Ami, you're going to have to, I think, come to the realisation that this character, Mamdani, this dude who hates America, hates the police, hates capitalism, mocks Jews with skits like this. This character is the clear front-runner to be the mayor of your beloved New York. Have a look at this poll. He's right now most likely to win. Are you going to stay in New York if that happens?
Oh, these are existential questions that I'm not prepared for, Rita. Come on, I don't know. I can't say that. I mean, look, I'm loyal to the soil, Rita. What can I tell you, right? The good or bad? No, the truth is, of course, look, if New York goes to where it was in the 70s and the 80s, no, of course I'm not going to stay here. And the point is, no one with any amount of money is going to stay here. Why should they? There's so many options in this great, vast country, despite the fact that Mamdani over and over says, where else are they going to go? Mamdani, everywhere else, anywhere else in the country they can go, by the way. And if you have real mobility, you can leave the country altogether. Look, Rita, hot take alert. Okay, you ready for this? Okay, I don't think Mamdani is going to win. I know the numbers show that he's leading by a significant margin. That poll was true. But if you break it down a little bit, it really is a race. It's a three-way race between Cuomo, Adams, and Mamdani. I think that Cuomo, despite being one of the great narcissists of our current politics, I think the pressure on him to withdraw is immense. He hasn't done it yet. But the base of Cuomo's electorate is black people and the unions, and they are both leaving him in droves. I think he's seeing that. In addition to that, most of his money, that's electoral support, most of his money came from the billionaire class, right? Bloomberg gave him $8.5 million. And he got millions from other massive wealthy donors. They are all leaving him and pressuring him to leave in a significant way. And then lastly, I got to be honest, like even the conservatives are all anywhere on the street. I mean, they're saying, look, we don't like it, but we're going to vote for Adams. That we really need to throw our support because they understand the existential nature of the danger of Mamdani.
This is three Democrats we're talking about: Cuomo, Mamdani, and Adams. I mean, this is the problem with New York and so many other one-party towns. They're really not much choice. So you get more and more extreme Democrats who become an option. Now, let's move along to Donald Trump responding to Elon Musk launching the America Party. Obviously, Donald Trump is not impressed.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
This seems ill-advised from Elon unless he wants to splinter the centre-right vote and deliver the White House to the Democrats. I don't really know what he hopes to achieve with this America Party.
Yeah, look, the Democrats are, like we've talked about it before, the Democrats are imploding because they are embracing hard left policies. The only way the Republicans are going to squander this opportunity is by infighting and by splintering of the party. And that's what you really see. Look, the system is not set up for third parties, right? The America First Party, it's just not. It's set up for two parties. What third parties have done in the past is they've thrown the election in one way or another. And I'm afraid that's what we're going to see with the America Party, right? Because that's the way the system is kind of set up. Look, you've seen a bunch of, like I said, the splintering of the Republican Party. You've seen it on a political level with the trad Republicans and the isolationist Republicans. But you've also seen it among the economics of the Republican Party. And that's actually had an even larger effect. You saw it with the Big Beautiful Bill and the fighting and infighting that was going on with that. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about. But you see it's kind of split between kind of three parties. You have the fiscal hawks who want lower debt, lower taxes, lower spending. And then you have the more economic populists like Josh Hawley, where they're looking to have more spending and lower taxes. And then you have the tech bro wing, right, which obviously Elon Musk is behind, where they're looking for, yes, they really want a focus on subsidies in technology, right? I think they're, and that's kind of because they see that in the war with China on AI, for example, they think subsidization is really important. So I think that's a significant problem for the Republican Party. And look, you see him being Elon Musk, say he's going to primary Republicans, right? And he even threw his support behind Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie is a terrible, terrible person on the Republican map. Super anti-Israel, super isolationist, damaging to the Republican brand. You see Elon Musk lining up on Thomas Massie. That's a problem.
I think Elon is going to lose interest in this very quickly. I think he would have seen those polls. We talked about it earlier in the program where Donald Trump is the most popular president among Republicans ever, more popular than Reagan after the assassination attempt. I think he's going to look at that data and realise, really, does he want to be backing a loser, or does he want to be throwing his lot in with something that isn't ultimately going to succeed? He's a winner, and that's what he has been throughout his astonishing career. Now, let's talk about Ukraine and Russia. Donald Trump had another phone call with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Indeed, we saw Putin abruptly leave a speaking engagement to take this call. He said the president would be offended if he was kept waiting.
Заставлять себя ждать, там сейчас обидеться еще. Спасибо вам большое, удачи.
Army, we know it was a lengthy phone call, but not a fruitful one. What more can the US do to bring this war to an end?
Look, what's sad about this entire thing, Rita, is that we kind of know how this is going to end. And we've known how it's going to end really, really early on in this war between Ukraine and Russia, right? At the end of the day, the goal was we want to make sure they don't take over Kyiv, right? That was the main thing. And we weren't sure whether that would happen. Well, clearly, that's no longer the case. Clearly, the lines have been drawn and that the central major part of Ukraine is going to be geographically intact. But you also don't see Ukraine dislodging Russian forces from a large portion of eastern Ukraine, right, which is the Russian-speaking part of Ukraine. I think ultimately that's what it is. I think what's going to come down to is simply, and I think it's going to be letting Ukraine know that, guys, this is ultimately what it's going to be. We will ensure, right? Look, here's what I don't want. And I've been on this show and other places a vocal supporter of Ukraine. I've denounced Russia over and over again. But one thing I don't want is I do not want an offer of bringing Ukraine into the EU or into NATO. That's something I've not wanted even before this war. But ultimately, what we can do is give them security guarantees and say, look, we will make sure there will never be a takeover of Ukraine from Russia if they reinvade again. But you have to give up the enclaves that Russia controls right now, and that you're simply not going to be able to dislodge them. That's the answer. I think it becomes a negotiation at this point. That's all it is.
I think reality has to set in. Army Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.